Hi guys, this is Craig Castler. Thanks for coming back. I'm using a brand new tool here called Screencast-O-Matic trying to make this thing work. So I'm going to pause the video real quick, draw something out here so you can see it, and I'll be right back with you. Thanks. All right. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm a real fan of Robert Kiyosaki and the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. His second book is Cash Flow Quadrant. And I'm going to go over what that quadrant is according to Robert Kiyosaki, because this is where it all started for me and really started to open my eyes and made a whole lot of sense. So here we go. All right, now the quadrant here, as you can see, it's divided into 4 different ways. And I apologize about not looking at you when I'm looking at my screen, so just bear with me. Okay, there's 4 different ways to make money in America. The first one is the E. Can you guess what that is? It's an employee. The next one is, that's an S, stands for self-employed. Okay? The next one, the third quadrant, is business owner, or in business. And the last one is an investor, like Warren Buffett. Okay? All right, now, here's the thing. The difference between a S, the self-employed, and a B, a business owner, is this. Self-employed people, even though they're not working for someone else, they are still self-employed. It could be the guy that cuts your yard. It can be the kid that shovels snow for you in the wintertime. It could be a landscaping group, or it could be a trash hauler, or it could be a mechanic. It could be anything. It could be a caterer. It could be a baker. It doesn't matter. It could go all the way up to a chiropractor, a dentist, a veterinarian. It could go to even a doctor, okay? Those people are self-employed. But here's the thing. If they do not perform their service, i.e. cutting the yard or shoveling snow or seeing a patient at the other end, do they get paid that day? No, they don't, okay? That's self-employed. On the other hand, this business owner up here, business owner is someone who owns a business that has it already set up and established where that business runs whether they are there or not. They could go away for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, it doesn't matter. The business is still running. They have a management system already in place. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of businesses who have absentee owners. You never see them, except for once or twice a year they come through, right? You've heard of those? Okay, so you can see the difference between self-employed and a business owner, right? Okay, very good. Here's the thing. 95, see if I can draw this. Told you I'm using that new tool. It's kind of hard to draw with. 95% of the people in America are on the left side of that quadrant. Only 5% are on the right side of the quadrant. Does that make sense? Very good. Okay, here's the kicker. 5% of the wealth in America is on the left side. That leaves 95% of the wealth on which side? The right side. Exactly right. Now, doesn't this seem a little bit backwards? 95% of the people are on this side of the quadrant, but 95% of the wealth is on the right side of the quadrant. Doesn't that seem a little bit backwards? Incredible. Think about it. We're over here, we're stuck on this side because our education system, like I said in the earlier videos, trains us to be employees. That's where it spits us out at, okay? Very few of us are those people that become the self-employed. But this side over here, business owner and investors, there isn't that many of them, okay? All right, now, if there's 95% of the people are on this side, and guess what? 95% of the people pay the highest taxes. This is the highest taxed area that you can make an income off of, right here. 40%, could be 50%, depends on where you live, what state you're in, and we're talking federal, state, local, all the taxes that you pay on your income. On this side over here, these people pay a lot lower tax. Now, why is that? Well, we do whatever they say. the people on the left side, okay? But the people on the right side, that's where all the wealth is. So they can afford to hire the people to lobby in Washington, D.C., and get bills passed and things. They make the rules. See, we're all playing this game called the money game. But this side over here, they make the rules for it. On the left side, you have to play by their rules. How much sense does that make? Like I said, over here on the left side, you're talking about 40-50% of your income goes to paying Uncle Sam, right? Okay. If you remember here a while back, there was a big stink on the news and all this about Warren Buffett's secretary paid more in taxes than Warren Buffett did. Well, that's true. Warren Buffett would be stupid if that weren't true, because his secretary is on this side. She pays that 40-50%. She's an employee. On this side, these people pay anywhere from 12 to 18%. Okay? Why? Because they're living off capital gains. They're living off dividends. Those are all taxed differently than the left side. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to pause the video here real quick. I'm going to draw a couple of things and we'll get right back into this. See you in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. Got my little drawings done here. Now, thinking about this quadrant up here, if you look at down here, we all earn a certain amount of money, right? It doesn't matter how much the amount is. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You got X number of dollars that you earn, correct? Okay, now, what is the first thing as an employer, self-employed, when you get your paycheck, what is the very first thing that comes out of it? Before you get it. Yeah, you're right. It is taxes. And that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It seems like every year. Like I said, I'm just learning this thing. I don't know why it did that. But anyway, taxes come out here, right? And then the next thing you do, I'll see if I can edit that and get rid of that part. Okay, after taxes, what's left over is what you get to spend. Make sense? Okay, very good. Now, let's look over here on this side. What happens? You get to business owners. Remember, they set up the rules. And this little drawing tool here is kind of hard. It's not quite like picking up a pen and starting working on it. Guess what they get to do first after they receive their money? They spend first, and then what's left over, they get taxed on. Does that sound right? Well, remember, they set up the rules. They're playing this game for real. They're in it to win. We're just following along over here on this side. Okay? All right, now, tell me if this makes sense to you. The first thing that they do is when they get their paychecks, actually, before they get them, it gets taxed first, and then what's left over gets to spend, right? Okay. Now, let's say, just for an example, if you need to go out and get you a computer, you probably bought one recently. Okay, where's that come out of? Comes right out of here, out of the spend section, right? As a business owner or investor, where does their computer expense come from? Yep, same section. It's that spend section. But guess what? It comes out before the taxes do. Why? They get to write it off. They need it for their business, and now it's a tax write-off. Make sense? All right, now, let's look at, let's say, give me another example. Let's say that you're going to buy a vehicle. Where does that come out of? Comes out right here. Your spend section, right? And a business over it comes out their spend section as well, because they need a business or a vehicle for their business. So now it's a tax write-off. Does that make sense? You can do it for just about anything. All right? I'm not a tax professional. I'm not giving tax advice. I just know, just because it happens this way, because I know how the game is played. Okay? A wealthy person, the person on the right side of the quadrant, they do not want to own anything. They want to use it, use the asset, take advantage of the asset, but not own it. They don't want it to be in their name, because what if they get sued? Make sense? Okay. If you structure the right side properly, you don't own anything. but that's way on up there in the wealth thing. Okay, I mean homeowners. I'm sorry, business owners. Um, their whole purpose is to build wealth. Okay, so they can buy properties and put it in the business name, and the business becomes wealthier, right? Okay, so even their own homes in many cases are structured where the business owns it, and then they as individuals just rent it. Does that make sense? Okay, what happens if you need to take a vacation? Where does that come out of on the left side of the quadrant? Right there in the spend, right? Okay, as a business owner, it comes out right here. You see, if you incorporate your business, you're required to have uh, executives, if you will, for the corporation. You have to have at least a president and a vice president. Okay, that vice president could be your spouse. Okay. Now, the next thing is that you also are required once a year, at least, you can do it more than that, you're required once a year to have a board meeting to go over your business. Okay? Where can you have that? You could have it at your kitchen table if it's you and your spouse that are the board members, but there's nothing that says you have to do that. Why couldn't you require or have your board meeting in Montego Bay, Jamaica? You have to. The board members have to go there because that's where you're having your annual meeting, right? So board members are you and your spouse. So now you have to go. So since it's a business requirement, it comes out here as a tax write-off. Does that make sense? Really let that sink in. You see, we're getting taxed over here 40%, maybe 50% of what? Of all of our money that we make. All right? Warren Buffett, business owners, they get taxed 12 to 18% after they spend everything. You can see why the wealthy are getting a whole lot more wealthy? Makes sense, doesn't it? We'll continue this journey on a later time. Thanks.